Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show and definitely another exciting guest. We're going to travel down the road to Texas and we're going to talk with a young man that's definitely setting marks in the social media, setting marks on the stage, and soon, and I mean soon, to have his own comedy club. If you've been following him on TikTok, he's more than just funny. He makes you think with his comedy. It makes you think. And at the same time, he's making you laugh. And I like that kind of comedy because it's not signaling out certain things, but it really puts your mind to the test. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Andre The Beast Crayton Show, the one, the only, Mr. Chalee Jr., comedian at large. What's up, big dog?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to this interview.
Man, comedy. Before we get into the comedy, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are.
Chalee Jr., Charlie Adams Jr. from Jacksonville, Florida. Chalee Jr. is my stage name, comedy name. From Jacksonville, Florida. Joined the military 2004. Retired last September in 2024. And so coming up on a year being retired, still finding my way out here. But while being in the military back in 2015, I started doing military relatable skits, comedic and relatable, if anything, and kind of grew legs with that career. And then once I did that for about a year, started getting on stage. And from there, I just started rising pretty much. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What made you decide to go to the military? Because you seem like maybe an athlete. What made you decide to go to the military? More importantly, why the Navy?
I was running out of options, to be honest with you. Like I said, I didn't join right out of high school. I joined like 21 years old, almost 22. Just tired of dead end jobs. And before I got in trouble in the streets, doing something stupid, where I messed up my career to where there's no return. I decided to join the military, just like my mom said. I should have did a long time ago. Yes, I did do sports, play football and basketball in high school, but I was never one for the books. So anytime the report cards came out, I was off the team. So therefore, I played sports up until a report card came out. And luckily you had, I was also in the band as well. So I was able to stay in band because you needed to pass band or whatever.
Right. What did you play? What instrument did you play in band?
Oh man, I played a lot. My dad went to FAMU. He was a saxophone player, so that was the first instrument I picked up. But after that, I seen them tubas over there getting down, so I played saxophone, tuba, and if you know anything about music, if you can play one brass, you can play all of them except for the trombone.
Yeah.
All saxophones, and I played pretty much every brass you could think of. Trumpet, baritone, whatever it may be. Sousaphone, which is the symphonic season, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever, but yeah.
Sound like you know your music and your musical instruments like crazy here.
Let's
go back a little bit. You mentioned something that's really interesting. FAMU.
Oh yeah, my dad went to FAM. Yeah, RP to my dad. He just passed away 3 months ago. So he was in FAM, marching 100 back then. The Rattlers. Yeah.
I'm sorry about the passing of your father. The only reason why I said FAMU is because I had an offer, a scholarship to go to FAMU, but I decided to go to Albany State. So FAMU was one of the options that came into the Georgia, because I'm in Albany, Georgia, so we're not that far from each other with that Florida Georgia line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you decide to attend FAMU? That's kind of because usually that's a legacy in most historical Black cultures that we try to go where our parents went. Why you didn't decide to go to FAMU?
Like I said, school was never really my thing. I never really was I only like things that, pique my interest. That being said, it's always been with books as well. So the only thing I really liked in school was English and science. Biology, I'm good at that. When it comes to math and all that stuff, and I hate writing papers, all that stuff. So I just kind of fell way far from the tree, because my dad was actually a lawyer. His brother was a judge. I was a judge. His sister was a teacher, so I felt way far from the Navy. Closest thing I got them was being an AZ as far as doing paperwork in the Navy. So yeah, I just never really wanted. I never really jumped into the college thing or whatever. Yeah.
When did you mentioned something about you wanted to hurry up and recognize a pathway for yourself before you wind up, getting into trouble, and military was on it. But what were some of the things that you was dealing with before you decided, and your mom, to make a critical, and probably your father as well, and your whole family, to say, look, you're gonna have to make a choice, man, or this is where you're gonna wind up going?
It was just, I would say, just trying to do things that I know wasn't of my character, and I know I wasn't raised that way. Because, like I said, I left home pretty much right after high school. I got an apartment on my own, and when you're trying to find ways to make ends meet, so you start doing stupid stuff. And once I got shot at one time, I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. And then, just working dead end jobs, not going anywhere, and just pretty much I ain't gonna say I was homeless, but it was a point where I was just living with my ex-girl at the time or whatever, and her mom. So I was like, yeah, this not it, So I was like, let me go in and join this Navy before I ruin myself, and I can't even do that. And I chose the Navy because they were the first ones I talked to or whatever, to be honest with you. It was the first recruiter that came up to me, and I actually wanted to do the Air Force, but they say there was something wrong with my license. The Air Force was strict back then. So they were like, nah, we good. So
what was the culture change for you? You're talking about academics. You really didn't care too much for the academic side, but to me, going into the Navy, you're gonna have to know somewhat of a balance, because don't you guys have, you out in sea, you can't afford to screw up when you're out there in that water and dealing with aircrafts and other people's lives. So what was the turning point for you once you got there? What was the adjustment for you like?
So I would say the adjustment was I've always been a person who take pride in what he does. You know what I'm saying? I was older coming in, so I had already worked certain jobs or whatever. So I had the worker mentality, so to speak, or whatever. But it took me a while to get the actual structure of the Navy. But once I figured out, hey, we need to get this job done. Okay, let me know everything about this job to figure it out, so I know how to go out here and do this, do that, do that and other. So I would learn the instruction and I would apply that, and then it took for me to learn that, hey, it's not all about your job in the Navy. You got to do stuff outside of that to advance or whatever. You got to study to advance, So it was just the fact of me coming in, just being a worker. I was just always a worker. You know what I'm saying? I would get the job done, if that makes sense.
Why did you apply the work part? Because you just said that you had to now do the work part. One of my best friends was in the Navy. He was in a sub, and he retired from from the Navy. Now you got to apply academics along with the instructional part that you're talking about. How difficult was that for you? Because that's not your forte.
Exactly. So it was pretty much a repetition, I would say. It was repetition, because being in the Navy, back then the test was 200 questions. I want to say 50 or 100 of them were general knowledge of the military that didn't have anything to do with your job. But the 150 questions or 100 questions that actually had something to do with your job, it's maybe 20 to 30 questions that you actually do on a daily basis. All the other stuff you probably would never ever see in your career. And it's a point system where you're taking I'm taking the exam. Like, you got the pass but not advance. So I would always pass the test, but you have to score high enough to be eligible to the next rank, if that makes sense, or whatever. So it took me a minute, so it was just repetition. And like the pass but not advance, you get points that add up, that total up for the next time you take the exam. So every time that I advanced, it was because of the PNA points, pass but not advanced points, and actually scored high enough to be advanced or whatever. So yeah, the Navy is different. Like, it's not just on performance or whatever.
So how far did you wind up ranking? Because
E6.
I hear what you're saying. What was it you wind up ending your career with?
E6. I maxed out at E6. Yeah. I was never. And then a lot of people question me, man, you don't feel bad retiring as an E6? No, because that was never like my goal. Like I said, my goal was always, hey, and make sure the people up under me are good, and make sure the job is done. I never really worried about all the politics and things like that. No shade to anyone else, you know what I'm saying, the Chiefs, khakis, or whatever that made it. But just me personally, I was cool. Like I never stressed on it. And then once I started building my platform in the Navy as an individual and, you know, touching people like with comedy, turning out our pain and the laughter, I was like, dang, I got the same impact as these E7s, E8s, E9s have, because they the ones in my inbox telling me, hey man, I appreciate the video you're doing, the content you're doing. Hey, it helped me get through deployment. I said, shoot, I'm good. And now it actually set me up after my career, you know what I'm saying, to keep moving forward with it. So it was definitely a big platform for me. As far
First
as,
of all, let me say thank you for serving our country and keeping us safe. When you, this is going to be crazy. You go to the Navy. Do you remember your first joke that you wound up telling people that almost, let's say, went viral? Because you said captains and everybody was looking at your stuff. You remember what you said on your first one?
Well, my first skit was, my very, very first skit in uniform. It was, I was getting ready to leave Japan, so I had some time on my hand because I was checking out, and we were at work with nothing to do. Everything was done, you know, everything was done, and we couldn't go nowhere. We just sitting there. So I say, man, this is stupid. So I just made a skit. I played two characters, you know, hey, can we leave? Nah, we just gonna hang back for a little bit. See, everything's done. Like, I'm the supervisor. I know all the work is done. At least let the people go. You know what I'm saying? I'll stay or whatever. So posted that on this Facebook way back in the day. This wasn't no TikTok. You had to have your own content back then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It wasn't no content karaoke as these new folks got or whatever, you know? Right. So I posted that in Japan. I want to say I woke up the next day. The video had over 50,000 views. I got like 1,000 friend requests. Hey, do another video. That was funny. And so that's the one that took off or whatever. So after that, I just kept going with it. Just kept going.
How do you determine how to write your material? Is your material based on your life? Is it based on how do you write your material? Where do you get the inspiration from?
Life, like they say, cliche, but the jokes write themselves sometimes. Like, yeah, but yeah, like,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Write themselves. I mean, it's just, you can just, like, on a daily basis, dealing with my kids now, just like, period, my process from retiring, just being in. And then once you're on that stage and you start doing material, you know what I'm saying, you have your set. Let's say you got your first 3 minutes or whatever. Okay, I'm gonna go to this open mic and work on these 3 minutes. I dealt with this today. Put it on stage, you say it in front of somebody. Okay, cool. That's the feedback I got. They didn't laugh too much. You go back home. I could have added this to that joke. I could have added that to that joke or whatever. You keep writing. You don't turn that 3 minutes into 5 minutes. Go back to the open mic, work on it again. Next thing you know, keep going, repetition. You got you a whole 30-minute set, you know? So like your inspiration, I think the best comics, the inspiration comes from their true life, just me personally. And me, I'm a read the room type person. Like a lot of my shows when I first started doing comedy, I was a freestyler or whatever. I go in, I read the room, see what's going on, you know, see what kind of club they got us in. And I talk about the room first, maybe mess with the people a little bit. And then I get into my material, you know. But yeah, in life, the jokes write themselves. You just got to know how to flip it, you know.
You haven't been out of the military that long. You mentioned your family and you are a proud father. What's that like for you now that you saw how your life could have turned out totally different? You come from legacy of lawyers, judges, FAMU. What do you bring different to your life now, coming out of the Navy, getting ready? We'll talk about this in a minute. Soon to open up your own comedy club. What values and things do you bring to your children now?
I will say I have that. This day and age, you really need to have that financial background. I would say the Navy did set me up to financially take care of my kids. You know, it's sad to say, and I love my kids to death, and I wish it wasn't this way. But I have different kids from different mothers. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, and even being in the military, it takes you away from even more. Right. You know, but I was always raised with my mom and my father until I was 18 or whatever. So a lot of my structure wasn't just from the military. It came from my parents or whatever. My mom was strict as hell. My dad, He's that lawyer, you know what I'm saying? That voice in the house. My mom strict, mean as hell, so I got that from them. Then joining the military, you know, it kind of gave me a bit more structure, and I'm just, you know what I'm saying, you ball that up together or whatever, and then just living life. And like I said, I would say the main thing the military gave me for them is that financial, you know what I'm saying, that financial structure and that financial pillow to fall on for them. So I was like, I can take care of them. You know, I did my 20 years, so now I got my retirement, my disability, comedy, and all that stuff. It's not easy taking care of 3 kids, you know. So I would definitely say that's what I would take from the military. You know, they gave
now
that
you mentioned
financial
it's not easy to take care of 3 kids. What do you mean by that? Is it because of the social media crave? Is it the monitoring? Is it because easy access? It's hard to monitor them now. Are they evolved a lot quicker than what we did? What's the toughness here?
I would say when I was in the military, the toughest thing was just being there, you know, and being that voice. I believe all fathers have to be present as much as possible, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that, you know. So and then like they're exposed to the whole world now at the tip of their hands. You know, they got these, they got the MacBooks, they got the iPads, YouTube. They can click on anything. It's hard to be there 24/7 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I would say, that's probably the toughest thing. Just, you know, just being there. Just being there. That's what bothered me the most. That's why I'm glad I retired. That's what I enjoy most now, you know, so I'm around them now.
Who is your favorite comedian? When did you realize you was even funny?
You know, amongst close friends, you know, it's easy to be funny, you know, because you all know each other, you all have relatable events and stuff like that. And, you know, but it's different getting on stage and telling jokes in front of complete strangers. You got to find a way to relate. But I would say in 2014, 2015, we were on deployment. I was on an aircraft carrier in Japan. And once you're out there on that water, you got to find things to do. So we had what they call the MWR, and they would put events together. They'll have spades tournaments, Uno tournaments, Madden, whatever it may be. And then one time we had a talent show in the hangar bay. And they set up a little stage or whatever, and they needed somebody to host it. I was always joking around in the berthing, the living spaces on the ship. We called it the berthing or whatever, joking around. They're like, man, you funny as hell, this, that, and the other. And they just pretty much volunteered me, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we need somebody to host it. So I'm hosting, and I'm like, I'm getting a few laughs. Now, to me, this is my sold out show. They ain't got nowhere else to go. You know what I'm saying? Right. It was like 100 people in the hangar bay watching these people perform. I would bring the people. I was the host. I'd bring up the next act, and in between acts and performances, you know, I just joke around or whatever. And I'm pretty good at this. So left Japan, and that's when I started building a social media following. And one of the main things when these clubs book you, they don't care if you're funny or not. They want to see if you can put asses in seats. And I had that military following. And when I left Japan, I went to Virginia. So I would be labeled a Virginia comic or whatever, because I started doing stand-up comedy in Virginia. And I just kept working on my craft and got better and better or whatever. And I was able to put asses in seats, and I just took off with it, to be honest with you. So I guess if people paying to come see me, I guess I'm kind of funny. Hey, you got to put asses
on your social media platform.
You don't even have to be funny these days. Mm-hmm.
On your social media platform, you talk about a variety of different things, but what's your passion when you talk about things? Like, I know you can be funny and you want to make people laugh, but you're also serious at certain points. What everything that's going on today and stuff, what's the one thing that you try to bring light to? You know, because you got people protesting, you got people pissed off about the election, you got people pissed off about the person that's in office, you got gender. I mean, everybody's mad about something, or they're protesting about something. How do you bring laughter to all these things and still keep your sanity?
Honestly, I'm probably never serious on social media, to be honest with you. So I would say, I'm not one to necessarily keep up with trends. Like, if something happened right now, I'm not one to jump online and go do a skit about it, this, that, and the other. When people come to my page, there's no telling what I'm doing. I might do a military skit. I might do a TikTok with music in the background. So my page, my push for social media is just something different from what everybody else is doing, to be honest with you, or whatever. So when you come to my page, it might be a break from what's going on in the real world, you know. Yeah,
Right.
I'm not big on politics or anything like that. I don't hit on religion. I don't hit on, you know, certain agendas or whatever they may call them. I just be in my own little lane or whatever.
Who's your favorite comedians? Like, who do you kind of look at and go, you know, I like their work and why?
Well, I'm not gonna say he's new. He's been doing comedy for a minute, but this dude named Ali Sadiq, he's a beast right now. He's like one of the best storytellers, and the way he flips his stories and, you know, things like that, and make you laugh and keep you engaged. And he's not just a punchliner. Like, he can really like take control of a room, and like he doesn't even have to be telling you a funny joke. He just, I don't know, he just doing his thing right now. Yeah, so I would say right now Ali Sadiq. When I first started comedy, I would say it was Mike Epps because of his freestyle ability, and he's just
Indiana's own, baby. Indiana's own.
Yeah. He was definitely my favorite when before I even started. Yeah, he was my favorite because his freestyle ability, he's naturally funny. Yeah, so I would say him. And then Cat Williams.
I'll make sure we tag Mike. I'll make sure we tag Mike on this. So I don't, a comedian I don't hear people talk about anymore is the Richard Pryors, the Paul Mooney's, the Red Foxes. Why do you think that they're kind of like just dust in the wind now?
Because back then, they didn't have the social media that we have now. Everybody's it's so easy, accessible to, comics now. So you can actually see them in real time is what everyone's saying. So you rarely see any footage of them. And me, I can't even sit here and say that I watched them like that or whatever. They were way before my time. Now I do see clips or whatever. And once I started doing comedy and actually studying, shout out to my mentor, Shima Franklin, she was like, you got to watch some of the older comics. You got to watch some of these old school comics and stuff like that. Right. So once I started watching them, I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, I would say the reason they're like that because it's a new day and age, And then the stand-up comics are not necessarily competing with the social media comics, but that's what's in your face right now. And like, you don't see people posting, oh man, y'all remember this Richard Pryor? You're going to see that in the screen all fuzzy and blurry and old and black and white. They're going to scroll right past it.
Mm-hmm. So you gave shouts out to your mentor, and they mentioned to look at the old school footage. Why was that important for her to tell you to look at the old footage? Was it something that she saw that you was missing in your delivery, or something that could enhance your delivery? Why do you think that was a topic that was brought up?
Because I was always picking her brain, as far as, building material, stage presence and things like that. A lot of people material right now is influenced by social media, and people make up a lot of stories. Back then they didn't have all that. It was just raw talent. Like, they're coming on just talking about their day, whatever it may be. It was just raw talent. So it wasn't as many props and stuff like that back then, So she was just telling me, like, this is where they really, really got it out the mud. Like, these people didn't have a 30-second video that made them go viral, and now they're just on stage, you know what I'm saying, with millions of followers. These people really got it out the mud. It wasn't you really had to go to the open mics. You had to go through the chitlin circuit and stuff like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So their material came from a more genuine, more raw place or whatever. So that's pretty much what she was telling me and what I took from it.
Before we wrap up, let's talk about something that you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. You're in the process of opening or getting ready to open your own comedy club. Mm-hmm. And I see that happening. I'm pretty sure if I was, in your business, that's what I would do. Mm-hmm. What's going to be the difference with you being a lone stand-up versus now becoming an entrepreneur and running a comedy club?
Okay. Well, mine being that, I pretty much got my buzz and my start from, the military. Not going to lie to you, being in the Navy or whatever. That's why I built my platform. That's why I built my fan base and my supporters. I wanted to hopefully once I start getting in movies and my name really makes waves and I have, a lot of pull and stuff like that, when I open up this club, I want it to be like a talent spot for people who are trying to grow their platform and really, really be seen. So that's what it's going to be for. Yes, I'm still going to have big comedy shows, bring out big names, but I'm also going to be streaming. So when I say, hey, if it's any military in town, you got any talent, come on down. If you sing, play an instrument, tell jokes, poetry, and I want to put them on a big platform and I want to use my name, for them to be seen, to get signed or whatever, or even just take off with their own. I want to have a platform to where they're able to grow, especially people being in the military,
I see your little daughter in the background.
Yeah. That's my little twin.
So tell me, you're getting ready to do your own comedy to help to bring talent. But this is the question. Not everybody has that beast mindset like you. How are you going to instill this in people to motivate them to home in on their craft? Because everybody can't be a comic or a comedian.
Well, I believe it's of course I can only show you what I've done. I can only show you the fruits of my labor. And me personally, when you're walking in your purpose, you're walking in your path, you're going to do nothing but grow. I excelled in comedy quicker than I did in my military career. I tell people that all the time. It's because I feel like that's my purpose. That's what I'm supposed to do. And my parents always told me, you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I love doing comedy. So like I said, man.
I like the way you said it, because a lot of people can't understand that when you do something that you like, you never work a day in your life.
Yes.
First of all, let me say thank you, and thanks once again for protecting us and keeping us safe, enjoying, hopefully, which I know you're going to enjoy your retirement. You're definitely going to be successful with opening up your own comedy club location. Where do you plan on opening it up at? You're in Texas right now, but your roots is in Florida. So where do you plan on opening it up at?
San Diego.
Why San Diego?
Big military town, and because it's a big military town. I would say that. Yeah.
I don't think the military is gonna ever leave you. You know what I'm saying? I think you're gonna be somewhere close to a ship, the military, and food and comedy. You're gonna be around those things. I guess San Diego is a place to be there. How can the viewers reach out to you, follow you on social media?
Facebook. I have a new page now on Facebook, a new business page, and that's comedian Chalee Jr. That is CHALEEJR. Please don't forget the JR, because I'm a daddy's boy. Instagram, comedian_Chalee Jr. spelled the same way. TikTok, Chalee Jr. spelled the same way. And YouTube, Chalee Jr. spelled the same way. CHALEEJR. That's where I'm at.
You know what, Chalee? Thank you so much. I wish you complete success. Feel free to reach out to us again. I would love to follow your journey, which I do already, but have you come back and tell some more jokes. And it's been a blessing. Once again, thank you so much for protecting us as well.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another, and I do mean another, exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show.